Hello, this is Zia and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft season Clockwork. And we are doing episode 7, chapters 3 and maybe 4, depending on how much time we have. Yeah. Why don't we get started, I guess. If you haven't read any of the other chapters, be sure you do so. And, yeah. Because, spoilers. Yeah. I guess enjoy. Chapter 3. A few days had passed since the new recruits had arrived. What? A few days had passed since the new recruits had arrived, yet it didn't feel like it had been that long at all. Things were beginning to settle as Scar prepared for the night, the moonlight pouring into the bedroom, casting a pearly blue glow wherever it touched. He hadn't done too much during the day, mainly trying to gather materials for the next project he planned to embark on. It was tedious work, and he had spent a little more time than he'd like. He was absolutely exhausted and ready for the night. Scar glanced out of the window of his bedroom, noticing the position of the moon. It was very late, stars twinkling in the night sky, expanding beyond the horizon. It appeared peaceful, calm, and delicate. Mr. A's men hadn't been spotted anywhere for quite some time. He knew they were probably out there, though, waiting, watching, observing, and learning the patterns that were being created. He had no evidence of that happening, but based on what he'd heard from Gran, they tended to hide themselves from sight until the right moment, most likely when they were least expected to. He quickly prepared everything he needed for tomorrow as he walked to his bed, pulling back the covers as he heard a door open and close in his house, in his base. Technically, it's base. Tilting his head curiously, knowing it came from his base somewhere. That's probably just Devin patrolling around to make sure there weren't any hidden intruders about, though he was sure he would be completely fine. Protocol was protocol, and he wasn't about to. Sorry about that. He wasn't about to argue with the man. He knew what he was doing. Scar did not. He had to trust the man was doing what was best for all of them. Before he was able to crawl into bed, he heard a faint sound of wind hitting the window. Its quiet echo vibrating in his ears. He glanced over, momentarily startled, when he saw a shadow of a figure blocking the view of the window, plunging the room into darkness. Quiet, subtle tap could be heard, and one moment later, as his vision adjusted to the light, as he saw Korean peering back at him through the glass. Curious and perplexed, Scar rushed over to the window, unlocking it as he opened it. Seeing his friend a bit better in the moonlight, Green appeared to be tired, his eyes nervous but hopeful. "Can I come in?" Green asked in a hushed voice. "What are you doing here?" Scar asked in return. "Does your escort—" "No, he doesn't, and I don't want him to," Scar replied quickly. "Not right now, anyway. I need some space." "Something go wrong over there?" Scar asked him curiously, tilting his head, trying to figure him out. Had Green attempted to pull a little prank on the man and it backfired? Had something happened between the two of them that had resulted in Green wanting to get away from him for a bit? "Not exactly," Green admitted slowly. "It's kind of chilly out here. Can I please come into your room?" "Oh, yes, of course," Scar said hurriedly, ushering him in, waiting until Green jumped off the windowsill onto his bedroom floor. The YouTuber was wearing his elytra wings, which were probably what he'd used to get here. "Care to have a seat?" "I'm good," Green stated politely, shaking his head slowly, as Scar closed the window, making sure it was firmly shut before walking over to the YouTuber. "Are you sure everything's fine?" Scar asked him slowly, unsure of what he should make of this situation. He knew Green wasn't as keen to have the man around for some reason, even escaping him to have some air. "I'm not sure I can tell you," Green admitted quietly. "You know, I don't have the same ideas about how to deal with things, let's just say." "All right," Scar said slowly, frowning as he glanced over at the door, wondering if Devin had any idea what was going on in his room right now. It would certainly be hard to explain what Green would hear when he should be back at his base, especially at this hour. How exactly can I help you then? I don't know, Green replied. I was kind of thinking maybe I could spend the night here with you, just so I'm not alone. I don't see why that wouldn't be a problem. A problem, Scar admitted with a shrug. Though wouldn't he figure out something was up if he found you weren't in your room? I'll go back before dawn, Green said quickly. He won't even know I'm gone. Just, please? Scar could see the pleading expression in his friend's eyes. Something deep inside him churned as he caught a hint of desperation. Cried for help. I wasn't sure what was going on. Sure, why not? I have an extra bed in my chest. You do? Green asked in surprise. I have something for everything. Scar said he walked over to the chest and pulled out a heavy folded bed, laying out next to the wall as he positioned the mattress and sheets as best he could. You never know when you might need a spare bed. I guess? Graham pondered curiously before walking over to it, testing the mattress. Feels nice enough. It'll be here whenever you need it, Dieter said triumphantly. I'll even leave the window unlocked if you need to come in here in the future. Really? Grant glanced back up at him with skepticism. You clearly need some space from that guy, and I'll be willing to lend a helping hand if I can, Scar said matter-of-factly. I might not know what's going on, but you clearly need the help. Green managed to smile. Thanks. Anytime. Now why don't you get some sleep? You need to be up before dawn if you don't want your escort finding out where you went. You'll keep this a secret? Green asked him hopefully. Unless it's an emergency and someone needed to help you, then yes. Green admitted. Can't do absolute. That's fine. Just between you and me for now. Green nodded his head as he climbed into the bed. Good night. Good night. Dieter replied quietly as he too went over to his bed and climbed in, saying nothing more as they both fell fast asleep. Sure, questions were still swarming his mind, but he knew Green well enough that if it was something worth telling, he would know about it. Right now, he would bide his time and do what he could to help. Chapter 4. Scar opened his eyes the next morning to the sun pouring into the room. He sat up in bed, noticing the empty bed next to the wall. Immediately, it looked as if it hadn't been used at all. Green was nowhere to be seen. He had managed to keep his word and was gone before dawn. He must have slept through it. Or Green had been very good at being quiet. Whatever the reason, he was now alone in his bedroom once more. Should he store up the bed again? If Devin should have again to hide the fact that someone had been here? What if Devin saw it? What would he think? Would he tell the other people in the cause about it? He sprung out of bed and hurriedly went over to the spare bed, folding it back up quickly and putting it back where it was in the chest, feeling it was better to be safe than sorry. He had just managed to close the chest when the door opened, and he turned to see Devin peeking his head into the room. Good morning. Looks like you're up, but you're in a hurry, the man mused with a chuckle. I'm not, actually, Scar stated with a nervous laugh. Everything's good, I suppose. Better than ever, actually, which is saying something, the man said simply. Stated simply. The fact that we haven't seen any sign of Mr. 8's men, though, is the only thing strange about it. Yeah, Scar nodded slowly, appreciating that the man was telling us. Devin didn't have to. It was mainly the cause's job to stay on top of these men's antics and do whatever necessary to ensure the safety of their charges. He had no business needing to know what was happening behind the scenes. Yet it was useful. So what brings you up here to see me? There's meant to be a meeting in a little bit, the man said calmly. We wanted to do it early before you hermits go off to do your own things, projects and whatnot. Right, Scar replied simply. I guess that's not a bad idea. Will everyone be there? Yep, everyone is expected to be there. The man confirmed simply. I'll be right down, I guess, the YouTuber admitted. After I do some things quick. Take all the time you need, the man replied, as he walked out of the room, closing the door behind him as the YouTuber smiled, knowing he'd see his friends again. Maybe they could plan a little something to get everyone together that wasn't just a meeting. Just to have fun. He knew it probably would brighten people's spirits and let them loose to have a good time. They deserved it after everything they had been through. It didn't take him long until he was ready to go, meeting Devin at the entrance of his base as they left, heading for the new meeting hall. It wasn't a long trek, but Scar couldn't help but notice the scenery around them. As leaves fell from the trees, gently dancing in the slight breeze as he pulled a light cloak over his shoulders to shield himself from the early morning chill. It wasn't too cold, just a tad chilly. The two of them walked down the pathway, Scar able to hear faint voices in the distance as they came closer to the meeting area, noticing right away that they weren't the first ones here. He could see many of the hermits grouped together, chatting and laughing about whatever was going on amongst them. It's a great day to reconnect. They normally spend a bit of time doing things on their own. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing, though. He stepped into the meeting hall, hearing someone immediately call out his name. He looked up to see Mumbo Jumbo waving at him by a nearby table, sitting with Impulse, well, who had a smile on his face. Whatever they had been talking about earlier certainly had been amusing. Scar quickly walked over to his friends and sat down, noticing Devin giving him a simple nod before wandering over to the other table, another table where the COD members were discussing things. Wonder what they're talking about over there, Impulse admitted, catching Scar off guard. He realized he'd been staring at the table for who knew how long while his friends were talking. Probably important stuff, Scar replied with a shrug, trying to figure out what Mr. A's men are up to. They've been quiet lately. That can't be good, Mumbo stated with a frown. I guess not, Scar nodded simply. You two haven't noticed anything odd, have you? Not really, Impulse said plainly. Just your usual be careful and don't go out by yourself, that sort of thing. It does make sense, if you think about it, Scar said softly. We're a lot more vulnerable on our own. Yeah, and we're all together in one place as well, Mumbo pointed out. Well, apart from Green, that is. Green isn't here yet? Scar asked in surprise, glancing around the hall, realizing that the man was right. More people had trickled in, but Green and his escort had not yet arrived. You look worried, Impulse interjected, interrupting the YouTuber's thoughts as the young man looked back at him. Something wrong? No, of course not. Why would you think something was wrong? Scar said quickly, looking back towards the table where the cause was at. He seemed focused on the conversation over there to notice anything amiss. Well, it's kind of hard not to tell when you're glancing over by the door like that, Impulse pointed out. You, Mumbo, and I both know something's been going on. Maybe? Scar asked slowly, unsure of what to say to that. It's just, well, I just want to make sure he's okay after everything. All right, Impulse said with a nod. I guess he should be here soon then, and there hasn't been something holding him up. I could go and check, Scar offered quickly. Alone? Mumbo asked warily, raising an eyebrow. I don't have to be. I just would look a bit suspicious if two of us just go off by ourselves randomly, Scar pointed out. If it's just me, I could just say I heard something. You know that won't be a good excuse, Mumbo stated simply. It's a recipe for disaster if you're caught. That's right, if I'm caught. Scar smiled slyly. Trust me, it'll be fine, you'll see. Be careful, Impulse warned. We will tattle if you're not back in 5 minutes. Yes, sir. Scar chuckled with a nod as he stood up from the table, slipping away quietly out to the door as he looked around the exterior of the hall. Nothing seemed too out of place. It was also much quieter, and he could hear the faint sound of voices not too far away. Connected to the voices back in the hall. Intrigued, he headed to the source of the voices, trying his best to be quiet as he possibly could, going down part of the path before hiding behind some bushes as he heard the voices grow louder. I promise you, everything will be fine, Green's voice echoed through the trees, seeming slightly out of breath, as if he had been trying to keep up with the man with him. I won't tell anyone, it's just a meeting. It's not like anything's gonna happen. Something could, that's the thing, a man's voice retorted. You know what Mr. A's men are like. These are the kind of things they'd love to see. Everyone's together, caught by surprise. That's not all of it, Green admitted simply, as they appeared in view. Scar slunk deeper into the bushes as he tried to conceal himself. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped as the man turned towards the YouTuber. "You're certainly all right about that," the man said, his tone getting a few degrees colder than it had been before. "You know too much, and the men know that. If they see you, or if you tell your friends the truth, you could put everyone in danger." "It's not necessarily true," Green protested quietly. "You know it is, and if you tell them, you know what will happen." The man sneered darkly. "So long as you cooperate, Mr. A's men will leave your friends alone." "I'm not sure I want to believe that, knowing you," the YouTuber admitted timidly. "You should, because it could be your downfall," the man huffed. He shook his head. "Everyone's probably waiting for us. Don't do anything stupid, will you?" "We'll be fine. Don't worry," Green insisted calmly, looking over towards the bushes slightly, catching Scar's eyes. The YouTuber was momentarily caught off guard as he watched the man and his friend continue their journey toward the hall. Questions stormed his mind again as they disappeared behind the trees, waiting a few moments before following them back to the hall. What was going on? What had the men told Green not to tell them about? Were they even safe here? He wasn't sure, but he couldn't relate it back to his friends yet. Not here, anyway. He arrived back to the hall, sneaking back to the table with his friends, now joined by Green, who didn't seem all too surprised to see him sit down next to him. "Well, took you long enough," Paul's mused with a smile. "Glad to have you back." "Where did you go off to?" Green pondered. So Scar had a feeling the YouTuber had seen him. "I thought I heard something, so I went to check out. Turned out to be nothing," he replied quickly. "Figured." Green sighed as he shook his head. "Everyone's been anxious as of late, haven't they? Not just the cause." "Yeah, definitely." Scar nodded his head. "What do you think the men are up to?" "Not sure I want to know," Green mumbled out loud. "Well, whatever it is, I'm sure they'll get the surprise of their lives," Mumble said confidently. "Oh, really?" Scar asked in curiosity. "Yep," Mumble said, nodded cheerfully. "Don't know how you do that, but okay." "They'll think twice before coming after us again, if they try." "I'm assuming you weren't going to tell us what the plan is?" Green asked simply. "Not yet," Mumble chuckled. "Maybe soon." "Can't wait," Scar replied with a grin. "What about you, Impulse? Are you doing anything to prepare?" "Oh, definitely," Impulse nodded. "I've been working on something with the guy assigned to me for a while. It's coming together nicely." "Great," Scar stated, glancing over at Green. "And you?" "Still working on it," Green sighed. "Kind of difficult with this guy looking over my shoulder all the time." "Well, he isn't now," Impulse shrugged. Green nodded. "He's still not far either." "Disagreements then?" Mumbo gasped. "Plenty," Green agreed, with a small smile. "I just hope things turn out okay for all of us." "They will be," Scar said defiantly. Putting a hand on the YouTuber's shoulder, meeting his eyes, Green nodded again, smile growing as they moved on to other topics. Just being friends until deciding to play some games later in the day. Nothing could take that away from them. Fortunately, we're going to end it there. I know you might have seen a sneak peek, but I mean, that's all you're going to get for sneak peek. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, be sure to let me know and leave any thoughts, questions, theories, if you want, or any ideas. I mean, you don't have to, but it's okay if you do. Yeah, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will see you in the next one, whatever that might be.